Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I get yet another movie review. This movie is a horror film from Japan, Japanese language English subs, released in the year 2013, directed by Eiji Uchida, and this movie is called Grateful Dead. So Grateful Dead is about a neglected young girl. She goes to school and she assaults her classmates just so that she can get some attention from her mother. She's hoping that the mother will come to school to get her in trouble, but basically the sister is the one that's always coming in to get her. So this girl is desperate for some parental sort of guidance, but they're just not interested. So one day the mother decides that she's going to leave home and go overseas. So she's abandoned them, and this is what sends the husband over the edge. He's basically gone into a deep depression and he has cut himself off from the rest of the world. So this girl is so badly wanting someone to take notice of her, and the only person that's doing that is her sister. But then when the sister leaves to move out with her boyfriend, it leaves this young girl all by herself. So she's never had anyone to relate to. So then the movie cuts off many years later, and now we join this young girl's life as a young adult. Now we learn that the father had committed suicide a few years before and left this young lady a huge inheritance. So she's living very comfortably, and she's still living a very isolated existence, and to pass her free time she starts to spy on people that she sees as solitarians, basically people who've been rejected by society and that are very lonely, sort of loners. So you've got one guy who feeds pigeons that people are afraid of, and you've got another guy who's an elderly gentleman who's a very angry person, and he likes to live alone as well. So this lady gets a strong obsession with this old guy, and she's just very happy by just looking at him. So she hasn't actually spoken to him, but months pass and she just completely, she's completely and utterly obsessed. She's stalking him and looking at him at every given opportunity. So one day the old man starts to get visitors, and this sends this young lady into a jealous rage, and she sees this as an interference on her property. So basically she's claimed this old man as hers, and that anyone who's coming into this guy's life is an interference, and she's going to get rid of that interference in a very brutal way. So what happens at that point on? Something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Grateful Dead. This movie had a lot more depth than I first anticipated. Now initially coming into it I thought it would be an audition kind of film. Now Audition by Takashi Miike, absolute classic film as far as atmosphere is concerned. So when I saw the trailer to this movie, I saw a similar sort of approach in that the main character is this female who looks very sweet but is actually psychotic. So after I finished watching it, I can say that yes, there are parts of the film that are similar to Audition, but I actually thought they are very different films, because Audition, as I said, absolute masterclass in atmosphere. The main character was a complete nutcase, whereas in this movie you have that nutcase element from the main character, but you have a lot more depth to the character. So when you get more depth to a character, you've got more relatability, and if you've got more relatability, you've got more fear. So although Ehishina's performance was outstanding, I thought Aira's performance in this movie as the main character was absolutely fantastic. This is her debut performance in film, and that is just unbelievable, because her character was so sympathetic. She had a wide range of emotions to play, and she nailed it each and every time. It didn't feel like she was overacting, it just felt like she was playing this character who was so tormented. And that's what, as I said, it gets a lot more fear factor in, because you can't disconnect yourself and say that this is just a monster. This is a movie that forces you to look at a person who is a victim of circumstances. This is a person who should have been loved as a child but was never shown love. So she doesn't know how to interact with fellow human beings. And so she's a very awkward person, and although the movie is not condoning what she's doing, it's giving you a reason. There's a difference between a reason and an excuse. And I thought the reason is showing, as I said, a very relevant problem in society, in that some people just don't have love. And when you don't have love, you don't have the compassion that a lot of other people have. So that means you're rejected from society. You're seen as a little bit of a freak. And I thought this movie was an indication of an outsider finding comfort in another outsider. And then that sort of bond that you can have without even speaking to each other, is that this person has wanted so much attention her whole life, and then she's finally getting it. Yes, she's getting it in a very morbid way, but you can sense that she just wants something that other people have, and that there's a certain sort of element of sympathy there that really hits you hard, because at the same time you're kind of scared of what she is. So I thought the movie was fascinating. It was a lot more in depth than I thought it would be, and therefore a lot better than I thought it would be. The acting from the supporting cast was great. The movie starts off in a very quirky atmosphere, a very funny atmosphere as well. I thought it was very well written and had me laughing quite a few times. But then it slowly spirals into something much darker. It feels like a situation that's getting out of hand, and all of a sudden the mood starts to shift. It's like the tide coming in. in that nothing is ever going to be the same. And then when you start losing that sort of light-hearted, funny approach, you start to believe, okay, I'm going down this and I can feel this lady's frustration building up. And then, there's only so much frustration a human being can take before they explode. And when she explodes, it does hit you very hard. There are some very disturbing scenes. This is a very twisted and demented film. But at the same time, as I said, it just gets it even more scarier because this main character, played by this fantastic actress, gives you enough chance to really absorb into her situation and therefore gain a sympathy, but at the same time it avoids melodrama. It's not forcing everything down. It actually felt like it was a very slow process. So it goes for 98 minutes, I believe, but it felt like these 98 minutes were utilised very well, because without that impact of the reality in this character, it wouldn't have hit you as hard at the end. So by the end of the film, I was left thinking that, this is a movie where you've got the solid character that is very reminiscent of Ehishina's performance in Audition, but this is a little bit different. So if you like those psycho kind of female films, then Grateful Dead is definitely one to check out. It is typical sort of Japanese craziness, but it is reined in, and it does have a strong sense of reality that will make you think about life and how we treat other people in the future. So overall, for Grateful Dead, going to give it 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Go out there and see it. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.